Anne of Cleves has gone down in history as the ugly wife. Henry was so repulsed when he first laid eyes on her that he immediately ordered his lawyers to find a way out of the marriage. The narrative suggests that Anne, humiliated and rejected, faded quietly into obscurity, while Henry joyfully married the infinitely more desirable Catherine Howard. But was she truly that unattractive, or is this simply a case of historical slander? Anne of Cleves was born on September 22, 1515, in Dusseldorf, then part of the Duchy of Cleves in present-day northwestern Germany, raised at a court known for its political significance. Anne grew up in an environment where dynastic alliances and power struggles were part of daily life. Her early years were relatively uneventful, shaped by the traditional upbringing of a noblewoman in the 16th century. Anne's education focused primarily on domestic skills and religious devotion, with little attention given to the intellectual or political training typically reserved for male heirs. Her homeland, the Duchy of Cleves, held considerable strategic importance. Located in the Lower Rhineland, it lay at the heart of a region that served as a religious and political crossroads of Europe. The Protestant Reformation was gaining momentum across many German states, reshaping both the religious and political landscape of the region. While there is little detailed record of Anne's personal religious beliefs, it is clear that the environment in which she was raised was deeply influenced by these sweeping changes. Anne's life was also shaped by her brother's rise to power. In 1521, following the death of their father, her brother William became Duke of Cleves. His accession brought renewed focus on securing strategic alliances through marriage, a common and crucial practice among European nobility at the time. Anne's sister Sibylle married John Frederick, Elector of Saxony, a prominent leader of the Protestant Reformation. This alliance hints at the family's possible religious leanings and reflects the political relationships they aim to foster. At the time, Europe's political landscape was marked by shifting alliances and the constant threat of war. The Holy Roman Empire, ruled by Emperor Charles V, cast a long shadow over the region. German states like Cleves were engaged in a delicate balancing act, seeking to preserve their autonomy while navigating the overarching authority of the empire. In this volatile political climate, marriage served as a vital instrument of diplomacy. Like many noble women of her time, Anne was expected to contribute to her family's dynastic ambitions. Formal marriage negotiations between Anne of Cleves and King Henry VIII began in earnest in 1539. By this time, Henry had been excommunicated by the Pope and had established the Church of England, severing ties with Rome. As a result, he found himself increasingly isolated from the dominant Catholic powers of Europe. It was within this context that Thomas Cromwell, Henry's chief minister, and a staunch supporter of the Protestant Reformation, proposed an alliance with the Protestant-leaning Duchy of Cleves, a union that could strengthen England's political position on the continent. The Duke of Cleves, eager to secure a powerful alliance with England, welcomed the proposal. Cleves's strategic location within the Holy Roman Empire made it a valuable player in the ongoing geopolitical struggle between France, the Empire, and England. For Henry VIII, an alliance with Cleves offered not only a potential military partner, but also a symbolic connection to the growing network of Protestant states. A pivotal moment in the negotiations came in 1539, when the renowned artist Hans Holbein the Younger was commissioned to paint Anne's portrait, an image that would significantly influence Henry's decision to proceed with the match. Famously particular about the appearance of his brides, Henry requested a portrait to determine whether Anne met his expectations. Holbein, celebrated for his artistic precision, delivered a likeness that reportedly pleased the king. With this reassurance, negotiations gained momentum. By October 1539, the marriage treaty was finalized. It outlined key terms, including Anne's dowry, her status upon arrival in England, and the mutual obligations between Henry and the Duke of Cleves. Anne of Cleves' marriage to Henry began on January 6, 1540, a union filled with diplomatic promise, but soon regarded as one of the most infamous mismatches in royal history. When Henry first met Anne at Rochester just days before their wedding, he was immediately disappointed. In his eyes, the real Anne fell far short of the expectations set by Holbein's flattering portrait. Unimpressed by her appearance, Henry openly voiced his discontent to those around him. Despite his misgivings, the wedding proceeded as planned. The ceremony, held at the Palace of Placentia in Greenwich, was carried out with all the pomp and pageantry befitting a royal marriage. From the very beginning, however, the union was troubled. Henry's lack of attraction to Anne, paired with his notoriously volatile temperament, cast a shadow over the relationship. The king, already known for being a demanding and unpredictable husband, found little common ground with his new queen. Anne, for her part, faced a challenging and uncertain future in a court where favor could vanish overnight. Anne found herself a foreigner in an unfamiliar land, with limited knowledge of the English language and customs, and married to a king notorious for discarding his wives. By the time their marriage took place, the political and religious landscape of Europe was already shifting. The once promising alliance with the Duchy of Cleves was rapidly losing its strategic value. The Protestant Reformation, which had initially motivated England to pursue ties with Cleves, was becoming increasingly divisive, and Henry's own religious stance had begun to waver. Amid these changing circumstances, combined with the couple's personal incompatibility, the marriage was annulled on July 9, 1540, just 6 months after the wedding. The annulment was granted on the grounds of non-consummation, a claim both Henry and Anne accepted without dispute. Henry's eagerness to end the marriage was further fueled by his growing infatuation with Catherine Howard, a young lady-in-waiting at court who would soon become his fifth wife. Remarkably, following the annulment in 1540, Anne of Cleves carved out a unique and respected role for herself within English society, an uncommon fate for a former queen. Unlike Henry's previous wives, Anne remained in England and maintained an unexpectedly cordial relationship with the king. She was granted a generous settlement, including a substantial annual income and several estates. She established herself as a member of the English nobility, adopting the customs and language of her new home. Anne was often invited to court and participated in various social and ceremonial occasions. Her relationship with Henry remained amicable. She was respected and referred to as the king's beloved sister, a term that signified her esteemed status. She navigated the complexities of the Tudor court, a place where her presence could have been a source of contention, with grace and diplomacy. Unlike Henry's other wives, Anne managed to avoid the political and religious intrigue that often surrounded the court. She lived a relatively peaceful life, focusing on managing her estates and enjoying the freedoms that her unique position afforded her. However, she occasionally visited the court and was present at significant events, such as the coronation of Mary I in 1553. This relationship was significant as it maintained her connection to the royal family and the court. Anne of Cleves lived through the reigns of Henry's children, Edward VI, Mary I, and the early years of Elizabeth I's reign. Her survival and continued presence in England during these tumultuous times were remarkable, considering the rapid changes in religious and political landscapes during these reigns. Anne's health began to decline in early 1557. She lived long enough to see the beginning of Elizabeth's reign, which marked a significant turn in England's religious and political history. Anne of Cleves passed away on July 16, 1557, at Chelsea Old Manor, her final residence. She was 41 years old. Her death marked the end of a life that had seen her journey from a German duchy to the heights of the English court and then to a dignified life as a respected noblewoman. Anne was buried in Westminster Abbey, an honor that reflected her status and the respect she garnered in her lifetime. Her tomb in the abbey is relatively modest, especially when compared to the grand tombs of other monarchs and consorts. It was Thomas Cromwell who persuaded Henry to consider Anne of Cleves as a potential wife. Despite exaggerated descriptions of her beauty, the king agreed to the match. However, their first meeting did not go as planned, and Henry quickly blamed Anne's appearance for the failure of their marriage. Nevertheless, Anne remained humble and gracious. Her generous settlement after the annulment made her one of the richest women in England overnight. The woman once deemed too ugly for the king may have been the only one who truly outplayed him at his own game.